On Easter Sunday, you would expect an Easter message from the President of the United States, but what we got instead was that post from Donald Trump that was laden with profanity. And even for Trump standards, the messages that we saw in that post were offensive on a number of levels. Firstly, because of the profanity, but then he ends it with praise be to Allah, in a sense, mocking Muslims. And then on top of that, threatening civilian infrastructure in Iran, which could amount to war crimes. So all of that in one post. He seems to have been empowered by the rescue of that second serviceman. What was interesting is that after that plane went down on Friday, it was almost radio silence from the White House. Even after the first service person was rescued, there was no comment, nothing from the White House. From what we've seen in reports since that second person was rescued, we understand that there were hundreds of soldiers involved in that rescue mission, including CIA personnel on the ground, that there were dozens of planes that were used in that rescue operation. So now Trump is claiming this as a victory, and he says that there'll be a press conference on Monday with more details on what happened in that operation. But, you know, we can't forget that for days and weeks now, the U.S. has been claiming air superiority over Iran's skies. But what we're seeing with Iran being able to down a number of those U.S. planes, that it paints a very different picture on the ground from what Trump and the White House has been saying. It's really difficult to understand whether we take Trump seriously or not, because he's constantly contradicting himself. On the one hand, we got that post from Trump where he was threatening Iran, and then shortly after that, he did an interview with Fox News in which he said, you know, there was a good chance of a deal being reached as early as Monday. He also did another interview in which he said they were in deep negotiations. Very different message from what we heard from the Iranians over the weekend. Wall Street Journal, that has been very close to what's been happening on the ground, reported that the Iranians said that they had reached a dead end. This message was conveyed through the Pakistani intermediaries. And they say that the U.S. demands at the moment are unacceptable. So from the Iranian side, it doesn't seem like they're progressing very far. And, you know, we've been talking about this for weeks now. From Iran's point of view, they were in negotiations with the U.S. twice, once last summer and then once as these strikes took place. While they felt, and the mediators felt, they were making progress, the U.S. and Israel began these strikes. So very low level of trust from the Iranian perspective.